The cult of disrespect for people. Why is escaping so difficult? In this video, I'm going to talk to you about this concept of the cult of disrespect for people. And it's actually rampant throughout the industry. And I'm going to explain why it's so difficult to escape. I really think that you're going to enjoy this video, not the content outcomes, but you're going to enjoy seeing this new perspective and what you can do with it moving forward. So stay with us. First of all, I want to define cult and why I use that word. A cult is typically a group that employs manipulative, exploitative, and coercive behavior. And so I'm going to merge the word cult with disrespect for people. And let me just give you a little bit of a story here so you know where I'm coming from. So I was feeling inspired to write a book against the critical path method, CPM. I'm almost done. I'm working with the editor right now. I think it's going to be fantastic. I really enjoy the content, but I'm constantly bashing on CPM, like all the time. I just can't get enough of that negativity for that system, not for people, but for the system and how ineffective it is. So I'm writing this book and I'm trying to figure out what the root cause is and what the title is. And so I ended up with a title that says, CPM is not great, how the cult of disrespect for people uses CPM to ruin everything. And really what I came to is it's not CPM. CPM is just a tool, it's a system, it's a method. It's really the cult following behind it of disrespecting people. If you think about it, just real quick, let's think about all of it. Classical management where leaders don't care about workers. That's disrespect for people. If you think about the pushing of workers in the era one of construction, according to Todd Zabel, with Taylorism, what's the root there? The cult of disrespect for people. Focusing on management and elevating the administrative folks to a higher level above workers. What's at the root there? Disrespect for people, right? CPM, rushing, pushing, and panicking people at the expense of their lives, their time, their bodies, and their family. What's at the root of it? Disrespect for people. Oh, let me just do a couple more. On the project site, not communicating with workers. What's the root cause of it? Disrespect for people. Not having bathrooms for workers or lunchrooms, fundamental things that human beings deserve and should have a right to. What's the root cause? Disrespect for people. So this coercive and manipulative and exploitative cult of people that are focused more on profits than human beings that actually matter, that is the root cause of the problem. And I'll tell you what it does. It burns people out, it hurts workers, it hurts foremen, it hurts leadership teams on construction projects, it hurts their families. Let me tell you something that's not conjecture. When you look at the suicide rate in construction, it's 53 per 100,000. National veterans in the USA is 38 per 100,000, and the national average is 11 per 100,000. That means that the suicide rate in construction is 5 times the national average and almost double that of veterans of war. Now, when you look at the studies, and I'm not name dropping, and Cabry's not responsible for anything that I say here, but Cabry from Hensel Phelps gave me a study, and what they tied it to was that injuries are a leading cause for obviously pain medications, opioid addictions, which are then tied to marital problems, which is then tied to divorce, which is then tied to child custody battles, which is then tied to financial difficulties, which is then, as you aggregate this together, and associated with a mobile workforce, working overtime with a lack of sleep, sometimes doing shift work with access to lethal means. You now get a painted picture from studies of why the suicide rate is so high in construction. And then if you go back to, well, why did the employees get injured in the first place? Why did they have a lack of sleep in the first place? Why are they overburdened in the first place? It's because of bad systems. It's because of bad processes, and it's because of a focus on profits over people and at the expense of people. Because that crash-landed project comes at an expense of trade stacking and trade burdening. That overtime comes at the expense of the body of a worker. All of that rushing and pushing and panicking and pushing people into unsafe situations is the root cause of the injury. So this is a big deal, and it's not to be overlooked, okay? And so it's a problem that we need to become more aware of and that we need to address. Now, why is it so hard to get out? Because When you look at profits and let's talk about motivation in the United States. If you're a building owner, is there any motivation to do tact and integrated project delivery? Well, not really, because it's more expensive and you have to be responsible. Okay, if you're an owner's rep, is it better for you to have tact where you're responsible with the team, or CPM where you can hide everything in the schedule and blame the team for it? Obviously, CPM is an easier answer for you. Designers, the same thing. General contractors, the same thing. You can be lazy with these systems and not have to rise to the occasion. So it's so hard to get out because you have a boys club and leadership teams that don't want to affect the social dynamic within that team, that are focused on making money, disrespected from the workers, feeling important, and making money at the expense of others. There's not a lot of incentive to get out of that system. And so that's why it's so hard to get out of it. But if we are going to get out of and escape the cult of disrespect for people, we're going to have to start to take the steps that any members of cults are going to have to take to escape the cult. Number one, we're going to have to get educated. We need to really understand what respect for people means, what respect for humanity means, what respect for human nature really means, and see people as equals. Step number one. Step number two, we are going to have to switch from the client first concept to people are employees are first, clients are second. We're going to have to switch that paradigm and make sure that respect for people is paramount in everything that we do, and that we don't do one thing without the other. The other thing that we're going to have to do is start seeing tools like CPM and advanced work packaging done wrong for what they actually are. They're push systems, they're hurt people systems, they're disrespect systems. And we're going to actually have to come to terms with what's happening and switch to right systems. And I will say another one is that we're going to have to get really angry about this, right? Most of the time when somebody leaves a cult, it's easy to be there when you're one of the group, but once you start getting persecuted and hurt by it, that's when you start to say, wait a minute, what's going on? And now you start to deal with the social dynamics of leaving. So I want you to see what's actually happening to you when you are working too many hours and not with your family. That's the cult of disrespect for people. When you are getting your career hurt because of somebody else's mistake, that is the cult of disrespect for people. When your workers and foremen are being hurt and trade stacked and trade burdened, that is the cult of disrespect for people. When you're getting a contract, I could keep going, but I'm not going to. Here's some questions. Is having a schedule, create a schedule for a bunch of foremen respectful? No. Is having an owner shove a contract down your throat respectful? No. Is having an owner's rep yell at you in a meeting respectful? No. Is not having bathrooms on the site and lunch areas respectful? No. I could just keep going on and on. We've got to get out of this cult and get into proper thinking, proper mindsets to where we believe that people are paramount. People come first, and we will do nothing, no process, no system if it disrespects people. And that's why I love tact planning so much, because the rules of the system will never allow you to hurt somebody. I'm going to put this into a blog post. Hopefully you like it, but please share the message. It's crucial to get out of this. If you look at all of the problems in our industry, I bet you if you think about it right now, it all comes back to disrespect for people. And it's hard to get out, but it's possible if you start to hold the line with me together. I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.